Titanic's worst find. First diver peed himself. 10 terrifying shipwreck facts. 10th. Wreckage. On September 1st, 1985, oceanographer Robert Ballard's team, after months searching the deep North Atlantic, finally found the Titanic wreck, a discovery that stunned the world. Titanic's wreck lies at 41 degrees 43 north, 49 degrees 56 west in the North Atlantic, about 600 kilometers from Newfoundland. The wreck rests about 3,800 meters down. Among its era's deepest archaeology finds, the expedition found wreckage bow to the second funnel and stern beyond the fourth funnel. This find supports theories of Titanic sinking and reveals secrets of the liner's loss. Wreckage studies showed that after hitting the iceberg, Titanic's hull failed quickly and watertight compartments flooded. Despite 16 watertight compartments, design flaws, some bulkheads not reaching the deck, let water flood the hull. Finally, Titanic sank to seabed 2 hours 40 minutes after impact. Titanic's hull twisted violently and broke apart as it sank. In 2005, archaeology overturned claims. The hull split into 3 sank. This finding gives us valuable data on hull behavior in extreme conditions. 9th. Far too few lifeboats. Many died on the Titanic because there weren't enough lifeboats. A shortage behind the death toll. Why did a 46,328-ton ship carry just 20 boats? Is it really true White Star Line chairman J. Bruce Ismay ordered some removed because they made the decks look crowded? Titanic's lifeboat plan can be gauged against Britain's 1894 Merchant Shipping Act, which governed merchant vessels in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Sections 427 to 431 set strict lifeboat rules, and a table listing required boat numbers and total capacity by ship tonnage for safety. Limit: 10,000 tons. 16 lifeboats. 5,500 cubic feet. It's thought-provoking why the Act did not provide a more detailed classification for ships over 10,000 tons. This stems from limits of the era's legislation. The biggest liner then was Cunard's Lucania, launched in 1893, only 12,950 tons. So the Board of Trade probably used that figure as its max tonnage benchmark. Sadly, the committee missed Britain's shipbuilding surge, far beyond what it expected. 1894 to 1912 saw liner tonnage records repeatedly broken. Celtic passed 20,000 tons in 1901, Lusitania 30,000 in 1907, and Olympic 40,000 only 4 years later. Meanwhile, liners' passenger loads ballooned to thousands. Even third class held over 1,000, hence dubbed immigrant ships. Shipbuilding and shipping boomed, but sadly laws still lagged behind. Whether 10K or 40K tons, all ships had to carry 16 lifeboats, proving law lagged behind technology. Bless. People at the time thought Titanic nearly unsinkable, so lifeboat needs weren't taken seriously enough either. Shipbuilders and owners were too sure their ships were safe, thinking lifeboats just ferried passengers to rescuers, not long-term sea shelters floating. Titanic was designed for up to 64 lifeboats, but fitted only 20 to preserve looks and keep passengers' views fully open. The 20 lifeboats, 14 standard, 4 collapsible, 2 emergency, held only 1,178. Titanic had 2,224 aboard. Number 8. Drill abruptly cancelled. In Titanic's first days, a lifeboat drill was once planned. This ensures in emergencies passengers and crew can evacuate quickly and safely into lifeboats. Strangely, on the morning the ship sank, Captain Edward Smith canceled the planned lifeboat drill, clearly foreshadowing disaster later too. After the lifeboat drill was canceled, many passengers and crew were clueless in a disaster, even where lifeboats were, how to launch them safely, and which routes led out. When Titanic hit the iceberg and started sinking, the crew used the lifeboats for the first time, slowing evacuation as many passengers wasted time not knowing how to board properly. As Titanic sank, crew didn't enforce women and children first. So many lifeboats launched underfilled. Even some left the ship with only half their rated capacity. Without drills, Even Captain Edward Smith panicked in the emergency. When he finally ordered abandoned ship, it was too late. Many passengers missed the deck in time, so lifeboats went partly empty. Titanic's lifeboats were scarce. After repeated mishandling and misuse, the lives they could save fell far below original design capacity. If the drill went smoothly, passengers would know lifeboat use and the boarding-loading process properly beforehand. When the disaster actually occurred, the escape would have been more orderly, which could have saved more lives. So, Captain canceling drill drew widespread doubt. Criticism. Many say he was too sure Titanic was unsinkable, so he dismissed lifeboat drills. Others blamed the weather, saying the captain saw no need. More radical voices even claim he skipped it on purpose. Why do you think drill was canceled? Rank 7. Filmed 29 days after disaster. After the Titanic sank, survivor Dorothy Gibson reeled from the brush with death, suffering deep trauma. Fear and grief flooded her, along with aching memories of friends she lost. She remained on edge, stunned and unsettled in the days afterward. Yet film business logic often overrides personal feelings limits. Gibson's producer spotted the event's huge profit potential, rushed it into a film, and pressed Gibson to star, selling the story on his first-hand ordeal to audiences. For producers, it's clearly a chance to earn big profits fast. Though Gibson resisted, he knew he'd survived a nightmare, drained body and mind, unable to face public media scrutiny. Pushed hard by the producer, he felt massive industry pressure and an actor's unavoidable professional duty too. Finally, tangled emotions forced him to join the film shoot. While filming, Gibson had to revisit the disaster repeatedly, tearing open his wounds for all to see. The psychological torture made him collapse, sobbing loudly. His acting held real emotion, but it trapped him in pain he couldn't escape. Yet Saved from the Titanic was rushed to finish and released 29 days after the disaster, but still flopped. Viewers are furious at disaster-driven commercial hype, calling it disrespectful to victims and grieving families. Critics spoke out, harshly condemning this inhumane act. Box office and buzz missed expectations, stirring social controversy and moral backlash. For Gibson, it was a double blow. He bore the disaster's mental pain and also faced public and media doubt and blame for joining the film shoot. Ultimately, Saved from the Titanic became a contentious film history example, reminding us that chasing profit should still respect life, humanity, and survivors' families' grief. 6th, Californian is absent. On the night Titanic hit an iceberg and began sinking, Carpathia eventually saved many passengers and crew. Yet a nearer ship, the SS Californian, was close enough and likely better placed to mount the rescue despite its warnings. So why didn't it reach Titanic in time? When Titanic sent its distress call, the SS Californian was just 10 to 20 nautical miles away then. By distance, the Californian had faster response and a shorter sailing run to reach the accident site. Before Titanic sank, the Californian radioed iceberg warnings to nearby ships, including Titanic. The Californian had already spotted many icebergs. At the time, Titanic operators Jack Phillips and Harold Bride were sending passengers telegrams, so they ignored the SS Californian warning. Jack Phillips even replied to Cyril Evans, telling him to keep the radio clear because they were handling a large volume of passenger messages. Because of the unfriendly reply and the Californian operator powering down his radio before sleep, the ship didn't catch Titanic's later SOS or warning signals in time. Besides radio SOS, Titanic also launched white flares, a sea distress signal, but the Californian's captain and crew misread the signals as fireworks and didn't switch on the radio to check at once. After Titanic's SOS, distant Carpathia quickly answered the call immediately. After catching Titanic's SOS, Carpathia's radio man alerted Captain Arthur Rostron at once. He ordered full speed through iceberg-choked seas, arriving around 4 a.m. in darkness to start rescue operations for survivors. After Titanic sank, US and UK ran separate inquiries, asking why the Californian didn't answer Titanic's distress calls in time. Report faulted a Californian captain and crew for neglected duty. Fifth, objects seemingly fixed in place. Since the wreck's 1985 discovery, explorers and researchers have closely studied the Titanic. On their expedition, they made chilling finds. Some objects, after owners left, didn't scatter, but stayed fixed, still exactly where placed there. Explorers found arranged tableware in Titanic's dining room and kitchen. These dishes were tidied after the ship's last meal, still neatly set on tables and in cupboards, unscattered by water currents. This scene suggests that the crew and passengers were dining when the disaster suddenly struck. In cabins, explorers found many unopened suitcases with personal items, clothes, books, and family photos. The suitcases seemed just set down, waiting to be picked up again. Explorers also saw many shoes neatly arranged on the floor in tidy rows. Paired shoes sit as if just removed. Clothes hang neat inside cabin closets, still untouched by the seawater at all. Cabin furniture still stays put. Chairs, tables, beds barely moved. The furniture looks recently used, showing life aboard the ship. These objects weren't randomly scattered but left almost deliberately. Though the hull lay in pieces, seawater, seabed creatures, and time damaged the objects, yet they were miraculously preserved, almost exactly as they were when their owners left behind. This sight invites speculation. When disaster struck, did passengers and crew try to save traces of life? Or did some unknown force leave these belongings exactly where they lay? Fourth, life sung. On October 19, 2013, an English auction house sold a violin for £900,000. It wasn't rare or costly in material, and it couldn't even be played at all. So why would anyone pay that much? As the Titanic sank, order on board collapsed. Panic and chaos spread through every corner at once. Yet, at this life or death moment, Hartley and his band stayed, using music to calm the passengers. They knew their acts couldn't stop the ship from sinking, but could still bring people comfort and courage. As ship listed and seawater surged in, Hartley and band kept playing. Their music, a warm force, cut the cold sea wind, filling the cabin. Survivors recall the band played to the end, until seawater swallowed their deck. Their final piece was the hymn, Nearer My God, to Thee, expressing reverence for life, calm acceptance of death, and faith beyond death. 2 weeks later, rescuers found Hartley's body in wreckage, beloved violin still strapped tight. This violin mattered to Hartley, an engagement gift from his fiancée, engraved to Wallace. On Maria's engagement, he witnessed their deep bond and became an indispensable partner in Hartley's music career. Hartley's sacrifice and the violin's tale moved countless hearts. After many hands, it was returned at last to his fiancée. She never married, keeping the violin as a lasting tribute to her love for Hartley. Until 2013, it finally resurfaced publicly again. Third, a doomed decision. Only 9 minutes into Iceberg Alley, lookout Frederick Fleet spotted an iceberg dead ahead. He struck the crow's nest bell 3 times to warn the ship, then phoned the bridge, alerting 6th Officer James Moody, and quickly briefed the officer of the watch, 1st Officer William Murdoch, on the danger before the ship could even react. After the warning, Officer William Murdoch reacted fast, ordering hard starboard, engines astern, then hard port, trying a swinging pass to miss the iceberg. But reversing was hard. Switching engines takes time, and the center steam turbine can't reverse, so its propeller stops, sharply weakening rudder control in moments at sea. Secondly, despite turning, the Titanic's immense hull and inertia still prevented a rapid course change. At critical moment, White Star Chairman Bruce Ismay's bad call worsened everything. After hearing about the iceberg strike, he wrongly believed the Titanic, then the biggest luxury liner, couldn't sink from one collision. So he insisted the captain press on, no slowing, to assess hull damage. That decision kept Titanic from taking timely, effective evasive action, leaving a near-inevitable sideswipe with the iceberg, which tore open the hull and flooded it widely, wrecking several forward watertight compartments as seawater poured in fast, within minutes, far beyond containment. Though the engineers fought to seal breaches and pump out water, they still couldn't stop the hull from sinking in time. Second, the prophet from 14 years ago. Most people know about the Titanic disaster, yet few know. 14 years before the crash, someone wrote the almost prophetic novel called Futility. Seaman-turned-realist writer Morgan Robertson published the nautical novel Futility in 1898, telling of a broke sailor who reunites with former love Myra aboard a lavish liner, and at last dies saving her. After Titanic sank, this novel resurfaced. Readers were shocked by its plot's eerie parallels to the tragedy. Verse. The novel's liner is called Titan, nearly the same as Titanic, and similar in scale. Titan is 244 meters long, Titanic 268. In the real world, their lifeboats match too. Titan has 24, while Titanic carries 20. This can't help but make one wonder if the White Star Line was inspired by Morgan Robertson's work when designing the Titanic. The similarity didn't stop there. Both liners struck an iceberg on their maiden voyage, and with too few lifeboats, many passengers sank with the ship into the icy sea. Roland, a lowly sailor, and Titanic's Jack, a painter scorned by high society, are fated to reunite with lovers now and other worlds. Facing death, each sacrifices himself to save her, vanishing into the sea. After the disaster, Morgan Robertson got many complaint letters from victims' families calling Futility a cursed book that helped indirectly cause tragedy. Stranger still, Morgan Robertson soon died of chronic alcohol poisoning. Is all this coincidence, or fate secretly entwined? Did Morgan Robertson truly have the power to foresee what lay ahead in years to come? Was his death fated too? First, the mysterious key. In 2007, 95 years after Titanic sank, a key was revealed in auction. This key drew notice not for its materials or craft, but for its ties to an unfinished tale of averting the Titanic disaster. They say this key opens a certain locker on the ship. Inside there is hidden a pair of binoculars. These binoculars played a crucial role in the Titanic's voyage, although they ultimately failed to serve their intended purpose. On Titanic's voyage, Crow's Nest crew watched for hazards ahead in the lane, like icebergs closely, but likely lacking proper tools. The lookouts saw the iceberg too late. The ship couldn't turn away, causing tragic disaster? So why didn't the crewmen use the key to open the locker and grab binoculars? It originally belonged to David Blair, Titanic's first officer. Yet before Titanic sailed, Blair was reassigned from the crew, suddenly derailing his planned duties entirely. In his haste, he may have forgotten to give the key to the locker containing the binoculars to his successor, Charles Lightoller. Because of this oversight, when Titanic faced the iceberg, the lookout couldn't unlock the locker for binoculars and had to scan with bare eyes, making the berg harder to spot and slowing their response. If Crow's Nest crew had binoculars, they might have seen the iceberg sooner, giving Titanic more time and space to steer clear and dodge in time before hitting the iceberg. This hypothetical scenario later shaped reflections on the Titanic, sparking debate over safety gear, crew training, and emergency response. Alright, that's all for this video. Of the 10 amazing Titanic discoveries introduced today, which one impressed you the most? Tell us in the comments below.